As your journey through the whispering walls of this lost Amazonian city draws to a close, you begin your gentle retreat, carrying with you not just memories of ancient stones and overgrown paths, but a profound sense of wonder. The very act of being here, of imagining the lives that once flourished, of feeling the slow breath of the jungle reclaiming its own, leaves an indelible mark. This final section is about the lingering dream the city imprints upon you, a quiet magic that stays long after you've left its silent embrace. You retrace your steps, but the path feels different now. It's no longer just a challenging trek. It's a known route, imbued with the stories you've uncovered. The shadows beneath the canopy seem softer. The jungle sounds more familiar, almost like an old friend bidding you a quiet farewell. You might find yourself smiling gently, thinking of the ingenious people who once lived here, their resourcefulness, their artistry, their connection to this incredible land. It's a comforting feeling, knowing that such brilliance once existed in these very depths. The images of the city begin to merge into a single, cohesive picture in your mind. The vast, silent plaza, the ghost outlines of homes, the clever water systems, the enigmatic structures, and the fragmented whispers of their art and beliefs. It's not just a collection of facts. It's an immersive experience, a journey into the heart of a forgotten world. You feel a quiet gratitude for having had the chance to walk among its remnants, to listen to its ancient silences. The air around you begins to feel lighter, perhaps a subtle shift as you move further from the city's core. The sounds of the jungle, once a symphony of the unknown, now seem to lull you, a gentle natural white noise. You realize how deeply peaceful this entire experience has been, a truly unique way to unwind. It's not every day you get to wander through a lost civilization as a form of relaxation. Is it as the dense canopy starts to thin slightly, allowing more filtered light to pierce through, you might take one last look back, trying to engrave the scene permanently into your memory. The city will continue its slow, quiet return to the earth, perhaps to be rediscovered by future generations, or perhaps to remain forever a hidden secret, known only to those who dare to seek it out. Historians still argue about the precise names and origins of many such lost Amazonian cities, emphasizing the vast amount that remains undiscovered beneath the jungle's green shroud. It's a testament to how much more there is to learn, how many more quiet stories await their gentle uncovering. The memory of the whispering walls, the ancient stones, and the enduring spirit of its inhabitants will stay with you, a quiet inspiration. It's a reminder of the endless stories held within our world, waiting for us to slow down, listen closely, and simply let them unfold. Having spent this time with the quiet echoes of the lost Amazonian city and its people, a crucial contemporary thought gently arises: the imperative of conservation concerns. This isn't just a place of ancient mystery. It's a fragile historical record, vulnerable to both natural processes and, sadly, human intervention. You're walking on history, quite literally, and the importance of preserving such sites becomes deeply clear. Imagine if this entire area were to be bulldozed for agriculture, or if its secrets were plundered by treasure hunters. What precious knowledge would be lost forever? The very act of discovering such a place comes with a responsibility to protect it. It's like finding an incredibly rare, ancient book and then deciding to use its pages as kindling. Not a great plan, is it? The constant threat of deforestation looms large over the Amazon. While you've experienced the jungle's power to reclaim, its deliberate, widespread destruction is a different matter entirely. Logging, cattle ranching, and agricultural expansion relentlessly push into untouched areas, often obliterating archaeological sites before they're even discovered. This makes every remaining patch of intact forest and every hidden ruin within it immensely valuable. Historians still argue whether some modern agricultural practices are causing irreversible damage to archaeological layers, making future discoveries even more challenging. It's a race against time in many ways. Another significant concern is looting. The allure of ancient artifacts can drive illicit activities, where sites are disturbed and precious objects removed from their context, often sold on the black market. When an artifact is taken from its original location, much of its historical and cultural meaning is lost. It's not just about the object itself, but about its story, its place in the larger puzzle of a civilization. You might pause, looking at a particularly well-preserved stone, and feel a surge of protective instinct, a quiet wish that this place remains undisturbed. Even well-intentioned visitors, without proper guidance, can inadvertently cause damage. The simple act of walking off designated paths or touching fragile structures can accelerate their decay. This is why respectful tourism, when it can be safely and responsibly managed, is so crucial. It's about visiting as a silent observer, leaving no trace behind, and allowing these ancient places to continue their quiet existence. The beauty of this site lies in its undisturbed nature, its slow, organic return to the embrace of the jungle. Any disruption, any hurried attempt to unearth it without proper care could destroy the very magic that makes it so compelling. The quiet hum of the jungle around you feels like a gentle plea, a soft request for reverence and caution. It reminds you that some secrets are best left to reveal themselves slowly, over time, or to remain hidden, protected by the very wilderness that has held them safe for centuries. As you reflect on this, the air feels softer, the sounds of the jungle a more profound whisper of guardianship. As you stand amidst the quiet reclaiming of the jungle, the air thick with the scent of earth and life, your thoughts naturally drift from the stone and soil to the people who once thrived here. The physical remnants are fascinating, yes, but they are merely echoes of the lives that shaped them. You find yourself pondering the individuals who walked these very paths, whose hands shaped these stones, whose voices once filled these plazas. What were they like? What did they dream of? It's a profound, almost melancholic reflection on the transient nature of human existence. Imagine them, not as abstract historical figures, but as flesh and blood people. Perhaps a mother gently rocking her child to sleep on a raised platform, the soft hum of the jungle her lullaby. Or a group of elders gathered in the great plaza, debating the best time for the next harvest, their wisdom etched into their weathered faces. You can almost feel the presence of their collective spirit, a quiet energy that still lingers in the air. They were resourceful, intelligent, and deeply connected to their land, much like you've seen evidence of in their ingenious water systems and agricultural practices that we often imagine ancient people as distant and alien. But in truth, their daily concerns weren't so different from ours. They worried about food, shelter, and the well-being of their families. They experienced joy, sorrow, love, and frustration. They probably had their own version of a bad hair day, or maybe spilled their ancient jungle smoothie. Historians still argue whether the social structures of these Amazonian societies were largely egalitarian or had distinct hierarchies, though archaeological evidence often points to a complex mix. It's hard to tell from just looking at a few rocks, isn't it? Think of the children who once played here, their laughter echoing through these very trees. Perhaps they chased brightly colored birds through the undergrowth, or learned to fish in the same canals you explored. Their world was this vibrant jungle, their playground and their classroom. It's a comforting thought, imagining the innocent joy that once filled these now silent spaces. You might even hear a faint, ghostly echo of a child's giggle in the rustling leaves. The resilience of these people is truly remarkable. They didn't just survive in this challenging environment. They thrived, creating a complex society that endured for centuries. They understood the rhythm of the floods, the bounty of the forest, and the subtle language of the plants and animals around them. Their knowledge was practical, passed down through generations, making them true masters of their domain. They were the original jungle experts, long before anyone thought to write a guidebook. As you stand here, enveloped by the quiet stillness, you feel a profound connection to these long-gone inhabitants. They are gone, but their legacy remains, whispered by the wind through the leaves, echoed in the ancient stones and carried on the scent of the damp earth. The quiet hum of the jungle feels like a collective sigh, a gentle acknowledgement of the lives that once breathed here, a soothing reminder that even in abandonment, there is a lingering presence. As you reflect on the possible reasons for the city's quiet demise, you can feel the jungle's continuous, patient work all around you. It's not a violent takeover. It's a gentle, persistent embrace. The very air you breathe, thick with the scent of damp earth and verdant growth, speaks of nature's relentless reclamation. This section is a testament to how the jungle reclaims its dominance, slowly, gracefully, erasing the human footprint, leaving only whispers in its wake. Look around you. The massive trees, their roots snaking across the ground, aren't just growing around the ancient structures, they're subtly dismantling them. A tree stump might sit squarely on what was once a stone wall, its growth having cracked the carefully laid blocks. A colossal vine, thicker than your arm, might be slowly pulling apart a section of a platform, its tendrils acting like green crowbars. It's a slow-motion demolition, carried out by the most patient and powerful architect on Earth. You might even hear the soft creak of a branch or the gentle plop of a fruit falling, reminders of nature's constant activity. The ground itself is a testament to this process. Where there were once paved plazas, there is now a thick carpet of leaves, moss, and nascent plant life. Over centuries, countless layers of organic matter have accumulated, burying lower structures deeper and deeper. It's like the jungle is slowly, lovingly tucking the city into a soft, green blanket. You might find yourself sinking a little into the soft earth, a gentle reminder that you're walking on centuries of accumulated forest floor. The sounds of the jungle are also part of this reclamation. The calls of unseen birds, the buzz of insects, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. These are the dominant sounds now. The ancient voices, the clamor of daily life, have long since faded, replaced by nature's own serene symphony. It's a powerful auditory reminder that this space, once carved out by human hands, has returned to its wild, untamed state. There are no city noises here, no traffic, no distant sirens, just the pure, unadulterated sound of a thriving ecosystem. It's almost ASMR-like, isn't it? The quiet hum of pure nature. Even the sunlight, which earlier felt diffused and gentle, now struggles more to penetrate the ever-thickening canopy. Patches of deep shadow dominate, creating a sense of timelessness and quiet mystery. The jungle is so effective at filtering light that even at midday, it can feel like a perpetual twilight. This subdued lighting adds to the dreamlike quality of the ruins, making them feel even more ancient and otherworldly. Historians still argue whether the extreme density of the Amazonian forest played a larger role in preserving these sites by simply hiding them, rather than actively destroying them. It's a good question. Was it preservation by obscurity? You might notice how resilient certain plants are, pushing through cracks in stone, sending roots deep into foundations, literally consuming the man-made structures from within. It's a marvel to witness this slow, deliberate absorption. It makes you feel incredibly small in the best possible way, reminding you of the immense power and persistence of the natural world. This gentle, relentless process is one of the most soothing aspects of being here, watching the jungle quietly, beautifully reclaim its own. As you continue your quiet exploration of the lost city, a question inevitably begins to form in your mind, a gentle ripple in the otherwise calm expanse of discovery. Why was this magnificent place abandoned? The structures you've seen, the ingenuity of their water management, the hints of their rich culture, it all speaks of a thriving, resilient community. Yet, here you are, surrounded by the silent, green embrace of the jungle, the only living presence. This leads us to the many theories of decline. Point one prominent theory, often applied to ancient civilizations, points to environmental factors. Was there a prolonged drought that dried up their intricate canal systems? Or perhaps a period of intense flooding that made agriculture unsustainable, forcing the inhabitants to seek new lands? The Amazon is a land of extremes, and while these people clearly mastered their environment for a time, even the most adaptable societies can be overwhelmed by relentless natural forces. Imagine building all those clever irrigation systems, only for the river to decide, nope, not today, and completely change its course. That would be a serious bummer. Another significant possibility revolves around resource depletion. Could the population have grown too large for the immediate area to support, leading to over-farming or deforestation? While they seem to have practiced sustainable agriculture, even ancient techniques have limits. Perhaps the trees they relied on for timber or fuel became scarce, forcing a slow migration outwards. It's a delicate balance, living so closely with nature, and sometimes the scales tip. Then there's the ever-present threat of disease. The Amazon is home to countless pathogens, and ancient populations, without modern medicine, were particularly vulnerable. A devastating epidemic, perhaps a new disease brought in through those very trade networks you imagined earlier, could have decimated the population, leaving survivors with little choice but to disperse. It's a somber thought, but a very real one for ancient communities. Historians still argue whether the decline of many Amazonian centers was due to pre-Columbian factors or hastened by the arrival of European diseases. It's a complex puzzle with many intertwining threads, of course. We can't rule out social or political upheaval. Did internal conflicts tear the community apart? Was there a shift in power, or perhaps the rise of new leadership that encouraged a move to a different location? Sometimes, people simply decide it's time for a change, or they're forced to make one due to internal pressures. It might not have been a dramatic war, but a slow, quiet fracturing of community ties. Finally, there's the possibility of external pressures, such as conflict with neighboring groups. While the jungle offers natural defenses, disputes over resources or territory could have escalated, leading to the abandonment of the city for safer havens. The historical record, if it exists, is often silent on these local skirmishes, swallowed by the forest just like the city itself. The silence that now envelopes these ruins seems to hold all these possibilities, a quiet testament to the fragility of even the most thriving civilizations. You might find yourself pausing, listening to the gentle hum of the jungle, and pondering the quiet tragedy of a vibrant city fading into memory. It's a soft reminder that all things eventually return to the earth. As you continue to wander through the quiet, overgrown heart of the lost Amazonian city, the faint echoes of daily life and trade begin to merge with something deeper, something far more fundamental to any human society: belief systems. You might find yourself drawn to certain structures, not because they were homes or workshops, but because they carry a subtle, almost palpable sense of sacredness. Perhaps a particularly large, unadorned stone standing alone, worn smooth by countless touches, or a secluded clearing that seems to hum with a quiet energy. Imagine the spiritual landscape of these people, living in such a powerful, vibrant environment, surrounded by colossal trees, teeming rivers, and a symphony of life. Their worldview would undoubtedly be deeply entwined with nature. Every rustle of leaves, every distant animal call might have held a deeper meaning. You might picture them, perhaps at dawn, offering a quiet prayer to the rising sun, or performing a ritual to honor the spirits of the river before a fishing expedition. It's a humbling thought, connecting with their ancient reverence for the world around them. And let's be honest, after spending some time in this jungle, you'd probably start believing in tree spirits too, just to be safe. You might stumble upon a small, carefully constructed platform or a low, circular wall that seems to serve no practical purpose, hinting at its use as a ceremonial space. Perhaps a place for quiet meditation, or where offerings were made to unseen forces. The jungle itself often becomes a kind of temple in Amazonian cultures, with specific trees or rock formations holding special significance. You might notice an ancient tree, its trunk impossibly wide, that seems to exude an aura of quiet wisdom. Perhaps a tree that was considered sacred by the city's inhabitants. Evidence of mythology and animism often appears in the art and artifacts of such cultures. Recall those faint carvings on the central plaza structures or the patterns on pottery shards. Many would have represented deities, ancestral spirits, or powerful animal figures like the jaguar or the anaconda, central to Amazonian cosmology. Finding a fragment depicting such a creature is like glimpsing a page from their sacred texts, a visual representation of their deepest beliefs. Historians still argue whether some Amazonian origin myths are direct records of historical events or purely allegorical narratives passed down through generations. It's a debate that highlights the rich complexity of their oral traditions. You might also find yourself contemplating their burial practices. While direct evidence might be scarce or too delicate to disturb, the presence of certain types of pottery or specific structural features could hint at areas designated for the deceased. How did they honor their ancestors? What do they believe about the journey after life? These are questions that echo through the quiet ruins, leaving you with a profound sense of shared humanity across the millennia. The air remains soft and still, punctuated only by the gentle sounds of the forest, creating a perfect atmosphere for reflection. There's a quiet majesty to contemplating these ancient beliefs, a sense of timeless connection to the fundamental human need to understand our place in the cosmos. You're not just walking through stones and earth. You're walking through the lingering spirit of a culture's deepest convictions, a gentle lullaby of ancient faith. As you move through the quietly revealing layers of the lost city, you might notice something intriguing in the fragments of pottery and the very materials used in construction. Not all the stones look like they came from the immediate vicinity. Some have a distinct coloration or a different geological texture, hinting at origins far beyond the local riverbeds. And occasionally, a shard of pottery might have a stylistic element that seems a little different, subtly unlike the predominant local designs. These subtle variations are whispers of something bigger: trade networks. Imagine the incredible effort involved in moving goods through this dense jungle. There were no paved roads, no wheeled carts, just human power and perhaps the occasional raft on a river. Yet, these ancient Amazonians were clearly connected to a wider world. You might picture them carefully bartering their unique goods, perhaps rare feathers, medicinal plants, or specialized forest products, for things they couldn't find in their immediate surroundings. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring desire for connection and exchange, even across formidable distances. You can almost hear the quiet haggling. Maybe someone trying to get a really good deal on a particularly shiny rock point. One common example from ancient trade routes is the exchange of precious stones or metals. While this particular city might not have had gold mines, they might have traded for polished jade, obsidian, or even copper, which could have come from hundreds of miles away. Finding a fragment of a tool or a piece of jewelry made from such an imported material is like finding a tiny, ancient passport. It tells you that someone from here was connected to someone from there in a vast, silent network of exchange. Another significant trade item in many ancient societies was salt. Essential for diet and preservation, salt was often a high-value commodity, transported over vast distances. While difficult to detect now, the presence of specific types of trade goods or even particular culinary residues could point to the crucial role of salt in their economy. Historians still argue whether some of these Amazonian trade routes were primarily driven by prestige goods for elites or by essential commodities for daily survival. Perhaps it was a healthy mix of both, depending on the particular time and place. After all, everyone needs to eat, but a fancy necklace never hurt anyone either. You might find yourself visualizing the long journeys these goods undertook, carried by porters through winding forest paths or ferried down slow-moving rivers. It's a quiet testament to their determination and their ability to navigate this challenging environment. The jungle, which seems to swallow everything, also served as a vast, natural highway for those who knew its secrets. The gentle sounds of the forest around you, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, are the same sounds that would have accompanied these ancient traders on their long, arduous journeys. The realization of these trade connections adds another layer to the story of this lost city. It wasn't an isolated island. It was a node in a much larger, albeit hidden, web of interactions. It makes the silence of the ruins even more poignant, knowing that once, this place was alive with the coming and going of people and goods from distant lands, a quiet hub of ancient commerce. You feel a sense of profound peace as you contemplate these ancient connections stretching across time and space. As you continue your quiet journey through the Amazonian ruins, the whispers of daily life begin to coalesce, not just from the structure of homes, but from the enduring remnants of human creativity. Scattered amongst the roots and moss, you start to discover fragments of pottery, some no bigger than your thumbnail, others perhaps a piece of a sturdy bowl. These aren't just practical items. Many bear faint traces of decoration. You might gently pick up a shard, brushing away centuries of grime, to reveal a delicate geometric pattern or a hint of a painted line. It's like finding a tiny piece of a forgotten painting, a glimpse into their artistic soul. These aren't museum-quality masterpieces, mind you, but they are incredibly personal. Each fragment hints at the hands that shaped the clay, the minds that conceived the design. You might imagine the potter sitting patiently, meticulously smoothing the surface, perhaps humming a quiet tune. It's a humble, yet profound connection to the ancient crafters. And let's be honest, trying to make anything useful out of clay, let alone decorate it beautifully, is a challenge. So kudos to these folks. They clearly knew what they were doing, unlike some of us who can barely make a decent sandcastle. Beyond the pottery, you might notice larger, more robust stones that show signs of having been ground or shaped for a purpose beyond mere construction. Perhaps a flat, worn stone that served as a grinding slab for corn or nuts, its surface smoothed by countless hours of rhythmic work. Or a heavier, more polished stone that hints at its use as a tool, perhaps for felling trees or carving wood. These are the tools of their trade, the extensions of their hands, quietly resting where they were last used. The most exciting discoveries, though rare, are glimpses of more deliberate art and symbolism. Perhaps a small, intact clay figurine, weathered but still recognizable, representing an animal or a human form. Or, if you're incredibly lucky, a patch of surviving mural on a protected wall surface, hidden beneath layers of plant growth. It would be faded, almost ghost-like, but enough to hint at vibrant colors and intricate scenes that once adorned their public spaces. These artistic expressions are windows into their worldview, their beliefs, and their aesthetic sensibilities. Historians still argue whether certain recurring symbols across Amazonian cultures represent shared deities or simply common motifs inspired by the natural world. It's a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? What did that squiggle really mean? You might trace the outline of a faded design with your finger, imagining the stories it told, the messages it conveyed. Was it a depiction of a mythical creature that guarded their lands? A scene from a hunt? Or perhaps a record of a significant event in their history? The jungle has been a harsh critic, erasing much of the finer detail, but enough remains to spark your imagination. The air here, though humid, feels charged with these ancient artistic energies, a silent gallery awaiting your contemplation. The quiet calm of the setting allows you to truly immerse yourself in these details. There's no rush to move on, just the opportunity to absorb the artistry and ingenuity of a people who, despite their isolation from the wider world, created a rich and meaningful culture. The soft light, the gentle rustle of leaves, it all contributes to a tranquil backdrop for this journey into the artistic heart of the lost city. You're not just seeing ruins, you're feeling the enduring spirit of their creative expression. As you continue your tranquil journey through the submerged city, beyond the homes and the ingenious water systems, you begin to encounter structures that defy easy classification. These aren't houses, nor are they clearly agricultural. They stand as silent, enigmatic forms, often partially consumed by the jungle, their purpose a tantalizing mystery. You might come across a circular stone platform with no obvious entry, or a series of unusual, low mounds arranged in a precise geometric pattern. It's like finding a series of blank pages in an ancient book. You know they hold a story, but you just can't read it yet. You approach one such structure, a particularly intriguing stone-lined pit, deeper than any drainage channel you've seen. Its walls are smooth, almost polished in places, and despite the millennia, it retains a distinct sense of purpose. Was it for storage? A ceremonial well? Or something else entirely? The air around it feels a little different, perhaps a touch cooler, a touch more still. You might lean over the edge, peering into the shadowy depths, imagining what secrets it might have held. Perhaps they stored particularly pungent jungle fruits, or maybe it was where they kept their really stubborn teenagers. Who knows? Another fascinating discovery might be a series of aligned pillars, partially toppled, rising like ancient teeth from the forest floor. They're too slender to be support columns for a large building and too numerous to be mere markers. Were they astronomical observatories, pointing towards significant celestial events? Or perhaps they were part of a complex calendrical system, marking the passage of time in this hidden world? Historians still argue whether some Amazonian alignments reflect advanced astronomical knowledge or simply practical markers for planting seasons. It's a debate that highlights the ongoing effort to understand the intellectual achievements of these complex societies. The feeling here is one of quiet contemplation. These structures aren't overtly dramatic, but their very mystery makes them captivating. They invite you to ponder, to imagine, to construct your own theories about their function. You might find yourself slowly circling one of these enigmatic formations, trying to view it from every angle, as if a new perspective will suddenly unlock its secret. The soft light filtering through the canopy dances across the weathered stones, casting shifting shadows that seem to hint at forgotten narratives. You might also notice peculiar carved stones that seem out of place, not integrated into a larger structure, but standing alone, like silent sentinels. Some might bear abstract designs, while others hint at zoomorphic figures, perhaps jaguars or anacondas, sacred animals to many Amazonian cultures. These standalone pieces feel particularly potent, almost as if they were left as messages for future generations, messages that are now patiently waiting to be deciphered. It's a bit like finding a single, beautifully sculpted chess piece in the middle of a vast, overgrown field. You know there's a whole game that went on here, but you're only seeing one small part of it. The gentle sounds of the jungle continue their calming rhythm around you. The distant call of a bird, the rustle of leaves in a soft breeze. It's a perfect backdrop for the quiet contemplation these mysterious structures inspire. They don't shout their stories. They whisper them, inviting you to lean in and listen closely, to piece together the fragments of a civilization that understood its world in ways we are still just beginning to grasp. The stillness here is profound, a timeless echo of human presence in a landscape that has long since absorbed their physical forms, leaving only these silent, intriguing questions behind. As you navigate deeper into the city's hidden nooks, a new, fascinating element of its design slowly reveals itself. The gentle slopes and subtle depressions you've been walking across aren't just random undulations of the land. Instead, they begin to form intricate, deliberate patterns. You start to notice faint channels, barely visible beneath the moss and leaf litter, meandering through what were once residential areas. These aren't natural streams. They're the ghost outlines of ancient canals and drainage systems. Imagine the foresight required to build such a network in a place where water is both abundant and unpredictable. The Amazon, with its heavy rainfall and sprawling rivers, demands respect, and these people clearly understood its rhythms. You might lean down, gently brushing away some dirt, to reveal a carefully placed stone lining a channel, or a slight incline that would have directed water precisely where it needed to go. It's a testament to their sophisticated understanding of hydrology, a silent symphony of ancient engineering. You might even chuckle, thinking about how complicated modern plumbing can be, And these folks were doing it with rocks and dirt centuries ago. Following these subtle depressions, you soon stumble upon larger, more defined features. These could be the remnants of reservoirs or collection ponds, now filled with murky water and teeming with small aquatic life. The water reflects the dappled light from the canopy above, creating a serene, almost hypnotic scene. You can almost picture people drawing water here, perhaps for drinking, cooking, or even for watering their crops. It's a vital connection to life, a testament to how these ancient communities harnessed their environment. Beyond the domestic water supply, you begin to see how this water management extended to agriculture. The gentle terraces you glimpsed earlier now make more sense, forming a complex system of raised fields or cultivation mounds. These ingenious structures allowed them to farm in flood-prone areas, creating fertile land where it might not otherwise exist. It's a brilliant adaptation, turning a challenge into an opportunity. Historians still argue whether the scale of these agricultural systems could have supported populations far larger than previously estimated for the Amazon basin. It's a truly mind-boggling thought, isn't it? A hidden breadbasket in the middle of nowhere. You might notice the subtle curves of these ancient fields designed to manage water flow, perhaps even tiny, almost invisible channels to irrigate specific crops. The soil here feels richer, darker, a legacy of centuries of cultivation. It's a quiet reminder that this wasn't just a city of homes and plazas. It was a productive, self-sustaining community. They weren't just living in the jungle. They were living with it, shaping it to their needs with remarkable subtlety and wisdom. The sounds around you are still dominated by the jungle. But now, with the presence of water, there's the added gentle gurgle of unseen currents or the occasional plop of a frog jumping into a hidden pool. It's an incredibly soothing soundscape, one that invites you to slow down, to truly absorb the ingenuity of these ancient inhabitants. You might find yourself imagining the quiet dedication of their days, tending to their crops, managing their water, living in harmony with their incredible surroundings. The tranquility of this place is almost palpable, a gentle lullaby whispered by the ancient waters. As you continue your exploration of the silent residential quarters, you begin to notice patterns emerging from the overgrown landscape. It's not just random clumps of stones and earth. There's an underlying order, a deliberate design that speaks volumes about the people who once called this place home. You might find yourself walking along what feels like a ghost of a path, barely a ripple in the mossy ground, but unmistakably a route between one cluster of foundations and another. It's almost as if the ancient residents are still gently guiding your way. The more you look, the more you appreciate the ingenuity. These aren't just crude shelters. You start to discern the subtle elevation of certain areas, perhaps designed to keep homes dry during the rainy season or to offer a slight breeze on a sweltering afternoon. Imagine trying to build something sensible in a place like the Amazon, where everything wants to be wet and everything else wants to grow over whatever you just built. It's enough to make you just want to lie down and take a nap, isn't it? You might notice how some of the larger trees seem to have grown around existing structures, their roots molding themselves to ancient foundations rather than simply destroying them. It's a fascinating symbiotic relationship, almost as if the forest decided to adopt the city rather than completely erase it. This integration of nature and architecture is a hallmark of many pre-Columbian Amazonian societies, who often saw themselves as part of the natural world, not separate from it. Historians still argue whether this integration was purely practical or deeply spiritual, reflecting a reverence for the land. Perhaps a bit of both, don't you think? You build your house, and then you ask the jungle politely not to eat it, as you meander. You might even spot a circular depression that looks suspiciously like a fire pit, long extinguished, now home to a thriving patch of ferns. Or perhaps a slightly raised area that could have been a sleeping platform, where ancient Amazonians dreamed their own jungle dreams under a canopy of stars. These are the intimate details, the small hints that bring the lives of these forgotten people into sharper focus. You might find yourself picturing a family gathered around that fire pit, sharing stories, Perhaps the gentle crackle of the flames the only sound beyond the jungle's hum. Sometimes you'll find small, weathered fragments of pottery scattered on the ground. A broken rim, a piece of a decorated shard. They're usually simple, utilitarian pieces, but occasionally you might find a fragment with a faint pattern or a hint of color. These aren't grand artifacts for a museum. They're the everyday dishes, the water jars, the cooking pots that were once part of daily life. Holding one in your hand, you feel a tangible connection to the person who made it, used it, and then accidentally dropped it, probably muttering something under their breath that you wouldn't understand anyway. It's the closest you'll get to a direct handshake with the past. The air remains heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, but there's also a subtle, almost sweet fragrance that drifts through the air, perhaps from unseen jungle flowers. It adds to the incredibly serene atmosphere. There's no rush here, no agenda, just the quiet wonder of discovery. You're not just observing, you're almost experiencing the remnants of a community, a gentle echo of lives lived long, long ago. The quiet calm of the jungle envelopes you, making it easy to let your thoughts drift and imagine the scenes that once played out in these very spots. Leaving the silent grandeur of the central plaza, you begin to explore the areas radiating outwards. The air here feels even more hushed, as if the jungle itself has pulled back slightly, revealing its ancient secrets with a gentle sigh. The shift is subtle, but noticeable. The ground underfoot becomes a little less wild, the faint outlines of paths and low walls more defined. You're entering what were once the residential quarters of this lost city, the places where everyday life unfolded. Imagine the gentle hum of a community, perhaps the soft murmurs of conversations, the rhythmic thud of a pestle grinding corn, the quiet laughter of children playing. Now, all that remains are the ghostly imprints of their homes. You step carefully, mindful of the roots and vines that crisscross the ground, turning what were once tidy living spaces into tangled, organic sculptures. It's like walking through a house that's been abandoned for centuries, but instead of dust and cobwebs, it's filled with lush, living greenery. You might even find yourself instinctively tiptoeing, as if afraid to disturb the ancient quiet. As you wander, you begin to discern the foundations of individual dwellings. They're typically rectangular, sometimes slightly raised platforms made of earth and stone, now barely distinguishable from the surrounding terrain. You might crouch down, brushing away leaves and damp soil, to reveal a carefully placed stone or a fragment of what might have been a hearth. It's a humble discovery, but incredibly powerful. This was someone's home. Someone lived here, slept here, shared meals here. It gives you a strangely comforting, almost intimate connection to the people who built this city. You can almost picture them settling down for the night, perhaps after a long day of foraging or farming. Point one detail that often emerges in studies of ancient Amazonian societies is the close relationship between homes and the surrounding environment. These were not typically dense, urban environments like a European medieval city. Instead, dwellings were often nestled within cultivated gardens or amidst fruit trees, creating a mosaic of human activity and natural growth. You might notice subtle changes in the type of plants growing here, perhaps evidence of ancient cultivation that still lingers centuries later. Historians still argue whether the layout of these residential areas reflected social hierarchy or a more egalitarian community structure. Did the chief live in the bigger hut, or was everyone pretty much on the same level? It's a good question, isn't it? You might even stumble upon what looks like a small, circular depression in the earth, perhaps a communal cooking area, or a place where they stored water. The imagination runs wild here. Did they tell stories around a flickering fire? Did they gather after a long day to share food and news? The jungle and its relentless growth has preserved some of these hints, though you have to look closely, almost intuitively, to find them. It's like the jungle decided to be a bit of a minimalist with its archaeological reveals. It's surprisingly peaceful, walking through these phantom homes. There's no sense of urgency, no rush. Just the gentle sounds of the forest, the occasional drip of water from the canopy, and your own soft footsteps. You can almost feel the presence of the past inhabitants, not in a spooky way, but in a quiet, comforting sense of shared humanity. They lived, they loved, they slept here, just like you might be drifting off to sleep right now. It's a connection across millennia, a quiet, reassuring thought in the heart of the Amazon. The air grows noticeably cooler as you continue your slow, deliberate advance. It's not just the shade of the dense canopy. There's an ancient chill here, a stillness that feels almost reverent. You push through a curtain of thick, drooping vines, their leaves brushing against your face, and then, suddenly, the world opens up. The trees still stand tall, but they're not as tightly packed, and the ground beneath your feet feels undeniably flat and open. You've emerged from the suffocating embrace of the deep jungle into what must have been, centuries ago, a vibrant, bustling space. This isn't a clearing made by nature. No, this is a plaza, vast and echoing, now overgrown but still retaining its grand scale. Imagine a football field, but instead of turf, it's a carpet of moss and fallen leaves, dotted with the stumps of ancient trees that have taken root in what were once paved surfaces. The light here is still filtered, but now it's a gentle, diffused glow, painting everything in shades of deep green and dappled gold. It's like stepping onto a forgotten stage, bathed in the soft glow of a forgotten spotlight. Your eyes sweep across the expanse, try to make sense of the humps and hollows beneath the foliage. You can make out the vague outlines of what might have been foundations or low platforms rising from the ground. They are softened by layers of time, but their geometric precision hints at the hands that once laid them. You might even find yourself picturing ancient ceremonies taking place here, perhaps dances or important gatherings. The air filled with the sounds of voices and music, long since silenced by the jungle's quiet roar point. One thing immediately catches your eye. In the center of what must have been the plaza stands a particularly large, oddly shaped stone structure. It's not a pyramid, not exactly, but more like a stepped mound, now mostly covered in a dense shroud of vines and clinging plants. You approach it cautiously, feeling the subtle shift in the energy of the place. As you draw closer, you begin to discern faint carvings on its exposed surfaces. They're intricate, swirling patterns, unlike anything you've ever seen, worn smooth by centuries of rain and wind. What do they depict? Animals? People? Gods? It's impossible to tell without closer inspection, but the mystery is half the fun, right? You might even squint your eyes and try to imagine what it looked like when it was new, perhaps painted in bright, vibrant colors. You brush your hand over the cool, damp stone, and a shiver runs down your spine. This isn't just a rock. It's a canvas, a storybook carved in stone. Historians still argue whether some of these Amazonian carvings represent astronomical alignments or serve as a complex form of narrative storytelling. It's a fun thought, isn't it? That these ancient people might have been charting the stars or documenting their sagas right here in the heart of the jungle. It's certainly more interesting than wondering if they were just doodling. Looking out from the base of this central structure, you can almost feel the presence of the city's original inhabitants. You might notice subtle depressions in the ground where thousands of feet once trod, or perhaps the faint outlines of pathways radiating outwards like spokes from a wheel. The silence here is profound, broken only by the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant calls of unseen birds. It's the kind of silence that holds 1,000 untold stories, a quiet hum of forgotten lives. You might find yourself whispering, "What did you see, old stones? What secrets do you keep?" The quiet calm of the place settles over you, inviting you to simply be, to absorb the ancient energies that still linger in the air. You gently push aside another tangle of ferns, and there it is, subtle but unmistakable. Not a grand archway or a crumbling wall, not yet. Instead, your foot nudges against something unyielding, something that feels distinctly different from the soft forest floor. You look down, and through a thin layer of leaf litter, you discern the faint outline of a cut stone. Just one, partially buried, its edges softened by time and the relentless embrace of the jungle. It's too regular, too perfectly shaped to be natural. Your heart give a little flutter. This isn't just a stray rock. It's a whisper from the past. You kneel, brushing away more leaves, and uncover another, then another. They form a rough, uneven line, disappearing into the undergrowth. It's like finding the very first puzzle piece, a tantalizing hint of a much larger picture. You trace the cool, damp surface of the stone with your fingertips, imagining the hands that shaped it, perhaps thousands of years ago. A quiet thrill runs through you. This isn't a mere geological anomaly. This is evidence. Solid, undeniable proof that someone long ago stood right where you are now, carving this very stone. As you follow this faint, ancient path, the jungle seems to grow even quieter, as if holding its breath in anticipation. The air is still thick, but now there's a subtle scent, something earthy and ancient, distinct from the usual forest aromas. You notice the trees here seem to have adapted, their roots weaving around the buried stones rather than simply pushing through them. It's a testament to the incredible resilience of both nature and human legacy. Historians still argue whether some Amazonian cultures deliberately integrated their structures with existing natural features, blurring the lines between built environment and untouched wilderness. It certainly feels that way here, doesn't it? Like the city grew organically from the earth itself. Suddenly, you stumble. Your foot catches on a raised edge, and you nearly tumble headfirst into a pile of rotting leaves. You steady yourself, heart pounding a little, and look down. What tripped you wasn't a root, but a low, curving wall, almost entirely consumed by moss and small, tenacious plants. It's barely discernible, a hummock in the landscape, but it's unmistakably artificial. It's like the jungle tried to swallow it whole, but got a bit of indigestion. You almost expect to find a tiny, ancient warning sign. Watch your step, crumbling civilization ahead. As you carefully step over the wall, you realize it's not just a single barrier, but part of a larger, more complex network. You begin to make out the faint contours of what might have been terraces or even pathways, barely elevated above the surrounding ground. They snake through the trees, guiding you deeper into the heart of the mystery. It's a bit like following a barely visible thread through a vast, green tapestry. You might even find yourself talking to the jungle, whispering, "All right, show me your secrets, you sly old thing." The further you go, the more pronounced these signs become. You start to see patches where the ground is unnaturally flat, areas where it seems clear that nature's wild embrace has been subtly resisted. You pass enormous trees with roots that seem to grip onto unseen foundations, as if they're holding the ancient city up, preventing it from completely dissolving back into the earth. It's a peculiar dance between growth and decay, a silent battle for dominance that has been raging for centuries. You can almost hear the soft, insistent groan of the jungle as it slowly, relentlessly digests what humans once built. Hey guys, tonight we're diving deep into the emerald heart of the Amazon, venturing into a place long lost to maps and memory. Imagine this. You're pushing through a wall of emerald green, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. A symphony of buzzing insects and distant bird calls your only companions. Each step is a squelch in the mud, each breath humid and heavy. Above you, the canopy is so dense that only flecks of sunlight manage to pierce through, dappling the forest floor like scattered coins. You're deep, deep in the Amazon, where the trees stand like ancient sentinels, their roots winding across the ground like petrified serpents. And somewhere, hidden beneath this verdant cloak, lies a secret. This isn't just a walk in the park, though. Oh no, you probably won't survive this on your own. It's a place where nature has patiently, relentlessly reclaimed its dominion, where centuries of growth have swallowed entire civilizations whole. Think about it. An entire city, once bustling with life, now just a whisper in the wind, a ghost beneath the leaves. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? To imagine human ambition, human ingenuity, ultimately giving way to the slow, inexorable march of the jungle.so. Before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know where you're listening from tonight. Drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always cool to see how far these sleepy stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge onward, your boots sinking slightly with each step, the humidity a warm blanket against your skin. The air is still, almost heavy, broken only by the chirping of crickets and the occasional rustle of leaves. You listen closely, trying to decipher the jungle's language. It's a symphony of life and decay, a constant cycle playing out in the unseen depths you've been walking for what feels like hours, the path, if you can even call it that, barely perceptible. The trees are giants here, their branches reaching for the sky like gnarled fingers. You pass a particularly enormous kapok tree, its buttress roots forming natural alcoves large enough to shelter a small family. It's easy to feel dwarfed, insignificant in this primeval landscape. You might even start to wonder if you're truly alone or if ancient eyes are watching from the shadows. Historians still argue whether some of these early Amazonian travelers experienced optical illusions due to the sheer density of the forest, mistaking natural formations for man-made structures. It's a fun thought, isn't it? The jungle playing tricks on your tired mind. The canopy overhead forms a perpetual twilight, a soft, diffused light that makes everything feel slightly dreamlike. You notice the incredible variety of plant life. Vibrant orchids clinging to tree trunks, colossal ferns unfurling their fronds, and vines thicker than your arm dangling from impossible heights. It's beautiful in a wild, untamed way and utterly disorienting. You might even laugh softly to yourself, thinking about how your modern GPS would likely just show a blank screen out here, or maybe just a sad little no signal icon. Imagine trying to navigate this with just a compass and a really determined attitude. Good luck with that, but then something shifts. The pattern of the vegetation seems to change, subtly at first. The ground underfoot feels a little firmer, less yielding. You push aside a curtain of hanging vines, your breath catching slightly. Is that a faint ridge? Not a natural one, but something too straight, too regular to be formed by millennia of erosion. It's like the jungle is trying to hide something, but not quite succeeding. You feel a prickle of excitement, a quiet hum of anticipation. You're not just walking through a forest anymore. You're on the cusp of something extraordinary.